ただ、そんな中でも確かだったことはありました。今月、12月の3日を境に、シュウ先輩が急に変わったんです。
Yes, we established this. A sudden change. I know exactly what she means, of course.
今までと違うセリフ、今までと違う行動、私はとても驚きました。
You can... Saki, I don't think you need to speak to him in... What is it? Second person? He's right in front of you. You can just say you, okay? I remember the first time I called out to her and how frazzled she appeared in response. Of course, she'd been frightened by a character suddenly... if a character suddenly starts ad-libbing their lines. Meanwhile, I was equally startled by her unscripted reaction.
それも最初は懐疑的でしたが、次第に確信へと変わっていきます。
Saki and Guido, as a pair, had created their own save point well before ours. That made it easy for her to notice any deviation from the normal pattern.
間違いなくシュウ先輩は分かってやってる。日が経つほどにそれは明らかでした。だからこそ、私の方は気取られないように動きました。なるべく同じ言動をするようにして。
In fact, her unexpected reactions had never tipped me off to who she really was. Like I keep praising the game for how everything keeps getting recontextualized. Mainly because, from my perspective, any such deviations were entirely my fault.
そして、気づかれさえしなければ、私はシュウ先輩を監視することができました。多少コントロールすることも。
My attempt of disposing of the Brookers and her replacing them was a good example of this. In the beginning, in the Beninging, I didn't bother to act discreetly in the slightest, so it would have been easy enough for Sakuya to track my movements. Right? However, does that mean I was an obstacle in your way? That was the real question. The trigger for our time loop was the apocalypse, so it would be bizarre if theirs was somehow different.
はい。兄の計画にとって、シュウ先輩こそが邪魔でした。
Saki is adamant that I was the obvious nuisance. I'm the troublemaker.
シュウ先輩がいたから、私たちのやり直しは始まりました。
What? Saki makes it very clear that her trigger for reloading her save point was me. Unable to make sense of it, I repeat my question. But that doesn't make sense. Everything I've done until now has been one failure after another.
いえ。
Oh? Was I right in my theory? Was my theory correct?
成功していたんですよ。本当は。
See? Like I said, she has lived through not only 12 times as long of a time loop, but twice as many time loops, right? Until this time, I'd always failed to stop the apocalypse, but now I finally succeeded. I know I'm definitely not wrong about that.
シュウ先輩は最初のアポカリプスを阻止し、それを許せなかった兄がリンゴの力を起動しました。それだけです。
That's true, right? The first time around, they succeeded. Of course, it was going to happen, right? Oh, so that's what happened. Saki and Guido began their own time loop one cycle before ours. In that original timeline, we didn't find our apples or eat them. Yes.
そうです。先輩はうまくいっていました。憎らしいほど。
So in their POV, they failed. Yeah. And in her, they failed. Yeah. Right? They failed the first time around, obviously. And then, like, that's what triggered the save point the first time around. And then that's when the start of the game kind of happens, right? Of Sakuya. And in January, drugging Shu so that he forgets his memories of what happened. And then he does. What the fuck does Sakuya do with Shu all the way from January to November, bro? and regardless, right? And then that's when the game starts happening, right? Of all the way to November, the game goes through, explosion, right? They eat the apple, apocalypse happens, and then Shu and Yune are able to go back in time. They stop the apocalypse again, right? And then that's how the trigger happens again, and then they play the whole cat and mouse game multiple times all the way through until Sakuya actually gives up. Until Sakuya finally gives up. That's what I'm questioning as well. Right.
その後もアポカリプスはシュウ先輩の手によって幾度となく阻まれます。私もそれに応じて対抗策を考えます。
Right, there's the thing. Every timeline, Shu has succeeded. But then, Geto, because Sakuya and Geto are able to go back further, I wouldn't be surprised. Right. Sakuya and fucked up content, that is a taste at what she did. What?
決まっている運命を変えようとするのはとても難しいです。私たちが目的を阻まれ続けている間、まだシュウ先輩は自身がループに巻き込まれていることを知りません。ただこの町に入ってきた目的を遂行しているのみでした。
Of course, she wouldn't have known. I still hadn't eaten the green apple yet back then.
より正確に言いましょう。私たちはこれで18回目です。
Right. So it isn't twice as many, right? Because isn't this Shu's 11th? Or is it actually is it actually twice as many and this is only his 9th?
そして最初から数えて7回目、アポカリプスは成功してしまいました。
7th? Holy. Interesting. Really interesting. See, that's surprising, right? Because how? Right? The success of the apocalypse or the destruction of the town, I've experienced that tragedy many times.
それだけではありません。私は兄さんに許可を取り、皆さんだけでも逃がすことのできる手はずを用意していました。
You did what?
そして私は皆さんのもとへそれを伝えに行こうとしていました。
However,
でもですよ。気づけば私たちは12月の4日に戻っていたんです。去年の。
oh, she doesn't go into the fucking place anymore. Interesting.
それは少なくとも兄と私にとって望ましい結末だったはずなのに。
Maybe she never drugged him before. Maybe, right? That would make sense. If they had returned to their previous save point despite not reloading themselves, or at least that's how Saku explains it. Only a heartfelt prayer for another chance will trigger the supernatural power of both the apple and the tree. If what Sakuya says is true, and they succeeded in their 7th try, then neither of them would have prayed for another chance. So then who did? That is the interest. That's the thing, right? Okay. Now we know that they succeeded after the 7th try? 8th try. Fuck. They succeeded, did the bombing, right? What I'm thinking, right? What I'm understanding is they've kept succeeding, right? And what because they kept what I'm trying to get at is what triggered the change in the timeline where Yune and Shu, it was the drugging, right? That's the only explanation. Like what you said, Kong. Without the drugging, it wouldn't have changed fate, which would have caused the She still remembers because of the apple, right? I think you're right in saying that Sakuya never drugged Shu before they finally succeeded, right? Which was when the game finally started. And then, because of the drugging, the timeline shifted and fate changed. So then Amazing Grace or whoever gave Yune and Shu the ability to go back in time. Right?
最初は事故かと思いましたので、私は前回と全く同じ方法、探り当てた成功パターン通りの動きをしました。同じ通りにやれば失敗はない。そう考えていましたが、違いました。私が全く同じ行動をしても、違う反応を見せた方がいます。その年からシュウ先輩の行動に異変が生じたこと、それによって私は私たち以外のリセットを確信します。思うにこういうことだと思います。尾を食らう蛇のように、私たちは異なる結末を求めて回り続ける。 まだ不思議でしょうか。周先輩はきっと兄の企てをまっとうに阻止した覚えはないと思っているんじゃないですか。では、こうお呼びすれば、あるいは引っかかるものもあるでしょうか。周先生。周
先生？ほら、周先生、早くそっちに座って。
ここにいる誰もあのことを覚えてはいませんが、私だけはしっかりと覚えています。はい。シュウ先輩がシュウ先生であること、それがアポカリプスの失敗する最大の要因なんです。
シュウは先生だったのかよ。
なんとなくでしか話せないのだけど、私は今年度から新しい先生が来るって噂を聞いたことがある。でも結局新しい先生は来なくて。
シュウ先生は大変優秀なお方でした。音楽教師としての本分はもちろん、兄の計画を的確に妨げていました。
音楽教師？どういうことだよ、シュウ。テスト？そんなんあったか？
昔すぎて覚えていないだけですよ。物心つく前に外でセンスを認められた子供だけがこの町に入れるんです。
外でだって？
私も兄さんも先輩たちもみんなそう。この町には病院だって一つしかないんですから、ここに生を受けたなんてことはありえません。皆さんのご家族もまだオーロラの外にいるはずなんです。
家族？マジかよ。
だからシュウ先輩は異端なんです。本来この町で教育を受けるためには物心つく前からここに入っていなくてはならない。そのためにシュウ先輩は音楽という専攻を生かしてこの町に教師として入る道を見つけました。私たちと変わらない年でも。
Is he just okay? You know, I've heard the stories of gifted students like breezing through school until and majoring in a going to university at a young age. Was Shu like that? Like he graduated he got his bachelor's in music. I don't know what the major would be called. Right? At like 16. Saki knew everything about me. Nothing she said has been factually wrong. After a lot of negotiating, I finally got permission to enter the town so I could stop the apocalypse. I mean, Watarase definitely wasn't... Yeah, he was gifted in music. Yeah, you know, he could tell the beeps from the boops. I've always been an amateur when it comes to art. Well, yeah, because you spec all your points in fucking music. Aside from my mastery in the officially recognized field of music.
私もそう聞いています。間違いはないはずです。
Look, all I'm saying is that there's a spider on my wall. All I'm saying is that music should have also been an art form before Shu got here, because just like regular painting art, it has also been modernized to be shit. Alright? Pop music is a lot of the time has the same fucking beat to it and is repetitive and boring, right? At least when it comes to art and when it comes to modern art, alright? When it comes to modern art, at least then, at least those fucking pieces got a reaction out of you, right? It pissed me off, but at least I got a reaction out of it. When I listen to pop music, typically Australia Spider everywhere, I don't know where it went. Well, it was just a daddy long legs, right? The only reason I was able to see it on the wall was because of its long legs. But like, you know, it's still good music. Look, if you like pop music, whatever, right? It's the same thing with modern art, so I'm just drawing comparisons. Nice and friendly, exactly. I knew my father, Soichi Watarase, was in charge of a very special school. If the story ended there, I probably wouldn't have cared that much. However, anyway, once his health began to go downhill, he started acting strangely. I don't want to die. I want to live, he'd cry out every day. And despite debilitating weakness, his violent tendencies only increased. Great. Yeah? He'd gone mad. He sought out destruction as if brainwashed. It was the final blow to the tenuous strings holding his neglected family life together. And then, after learning of my father's plans, I decided to enter the town as a teacher to stop him. Right? That's what I was thinking before. Watarase definitely wouldn't have approved of Shu going into the Aurora if he knew that Shu was trying to stop the apocalypse, right? And as a result, I managed to successfully stop his plans and the apocalypse, only for the timeline to be reset. In other words, we're forced to repeat the same loop because my success is Guido's failure. If we manage to stop the apocalypse, Guido resets time, and if he successfully brings it about, Yune does. It's an eternal loop that continues without end. They had shit family life. I expected that. Right? You're telling me that Shu's mum would have approved in this whole project, right? With this whole Aurora thing? Hell no! I can guarantee she left his ass. Hmm.
だから、私のやることは明白でした。両者の妥協点を見つけること。
You know, if you really wanted to destroy things, you know movies do that all the time, right? You know there are places that you can go to specifically so you can destroy things, right? As a sort of like it's a meditative thing. Leaking through his connections, left or died. Yeah, no, he listen, Shu is just the classic Nepo baby. But, you know, now that Watarase is dead, I guess Shu got all of the inheritance, including the debt. So I guess that means you were never behind your brother's apocalyptic plan.
半分正解です。私にその意図はありませんでしたが、かといって兄さんのことは止められませんでした。それに私がどう止めたところで兄さんがそう祈る限りどうしようもありません。
See, listen, all I'm saying is that I knew Sakuya wasn't a bad person, right? I knew that Sakuya didn't want the people to die, and she confirmed it when she said that the first time Guido succeeded, she was going to tell everyone that there's a safe place to hide, but then the time loop, right? Then she looped again. And then after that, she realized that there's no point in her telling people that there's a safe place, because she knows even if Guido succeeds, they'll just, you know, she will just go back in time, right? Sakuya never wanted to bring about the apocalypse to this town, but until Guido realizes his apocalyptic dream, then he will never stop resetting time. That said, as long as the apocalypse happens, then Yune won't stop doing it either.
二つのやり直しが形成されていると気づいた以上、両者が納得できるような結末を迎えなければいけません。
Well, unfortunately, she can't stop him, so she helped him. Basically, unfortunately, as much as Yune would like to discuss a compromise, she can't really talk right now.
25日をきっかけにリセットが行われている以上、原因はアポカリプスと断定してほぼ間違いはないでしょう。死ぬのが嫌なのは誰だって当たり前です。ですが、シュウ先輩のようにアポカリプスそのものを阻止してしまっては兄の気が収まりません。兄さんはとても諦めの悪い人です。
I know all too well. Guido was a pretty suave individual who never gives up no matter what situation he finds himself in. And thanks to my father's influence, he seems to be, he seems as if he's lost his way as well.
シュウ先輩は少なくともシュウ先生である限りいろんなことを知りすぎていました。
I didn't remember any of that, but you did a good job summing it all up. Summing it all up.
はい。と言っても、シュウ先輩が若いことには変わりないので、ほとんど今のような関係でしたが。
I mean, true. They're only a year. There's only a one year age difference.
ただ、この町において教師である以上は、その裏側を知ることができます。シュウ先生はすべての情報を把握して、兄さんの計画を握りつぶしました。
Coming here to stop the apocalypse was my objective from the start. But my success in stopping the apocalypse is what triggered Guido's initial reset.
何度か試行錯誤を重ねた結果、シ先生を無力化するパターンを見つけました。それが、シ先生を教師でなく学生として入学させることです。
But that's what I'm saying, right? How in Kotaha's mind, what would she have been thinking when she is being taught music theory by a teacher a year younger than her?
何度か試行錯誤を重ねた結果、シ先生を無力化するパターンを見つけました。それが、
Oh, okay. So my admission to the academy is thanks to your repeated efforts.
はい。シ先輩がリンゴを食べたのも、おそらく先生でなく、学生になったため起きた出来事なのでしょう。ですが、教師として入ってくるはずのシ先生を、ただお願いしただけで、生徒にできるはずはありません。
I mean, yeah, Shu had more power as a professor, but that was also due to the fact that he knew that the apocalypse was going to happen, right? He had knowledge that student Shu wouldn't have, right? Because student Shu didn't have the memories with Rinka or whatever.
なので私は、シュ先生をまず、ただのシュさんにするために策を講じました。
I'm painfully aware of what she did next. The thing she gave me. Muse. The band.
はい。外での記憶をまっさらにさせることです。そうでもしない限り、シュ先輩はあの手この手でアポカリプスを食い止めていました。そして、その度に兄も諦めない。
My amnesia allowed me to attend the academy as a student instead of a teacher. It also made me helpless to stop the apocalypse from swallowing the town. Drugs.
アレイヤの生徒である限りは、この町の教育を受けます。外のことなんて何も教わらない、まっさらなままのシュ先輩でいられるのです。
I see. I'd always taken for granted the assumption that I was the same as everyone else. However, I'd originally been admitted into the academy as a teacher.
そしてミューズをもってしても、外での記憶を完全に取り除くのにかかる時間。それが304日という期間でした。
Were they just dosing him with Muse for 304 days? What the fuck were they doing with him? The day I woke up here in this town was exactly 304 days after January 27th. When I woke up in Yune's room, it was November 28th.
ミューズは1回の服用で何もかも忘れるほどの強い作用はありません。ですが、多量の摂取は危険。安全とはいえドラッグですから。
So that's exactly what they did. They fucking drugged him every like few days so that he doesn't overdose. What hell? You know what? Silver lining, at least he forgot all of it.
シュ先輩を無事なままで記憶喪失にさせるためには304日間という時間で少しずつ服用してもらう必要がありました。
So you're saying you kept me drugged over a period of 304 days, which I still don't remember? It's probably a good thing that you don't remember it. Maybe it was a good thing I forgot it. See? Exactly what I said! Did she keep him locked up? Definitely. I have no idea what my quality of life was like. but even after taking the anti-muse, that period of time is still hazy. Yeah, okay. But like, how is she feeding him? And shit like that. Right? Because if you're a masochist, no. Listen, I love Sakuya, okay? I don't want her to do that to me. How much I remembered and how much I'd irrevocably forgotten. It's something only Sakuya, who came up with this idea after multiple attempts, can answer. Hold on. If that's true, then why did you decide to remain hidden this time around? Okay. The only reason I can think of, right, is because Sakuya doesn't want you to hate her. It's not that hard to imagine, right? That's exactly what she said to me over the intercom of that hidden basement room. In fact, we only succeeded thanks to her not doing anything to stop us throughout the entire month. Bringing us to the most important question of all.
シュウ先輩。シュウ先輩が私の立場なら、どんな理想を目指しますか？
If I were you.
兄さんは、破壊に疲れていました。私が何度説得しても、アポカリプスを止めようとはしません。私の無事だけは確保してくれると言いましたが、私だって他の大事な方たちを失いたくはありません。平行線です。ですが、アポカリプスは何度失敗しても蘇ります。兄が諦めない限り、1年、2年、3年、やり直しを続けているうちに、私はそれを悟りました。兄を止めたと思っても、また最初からやり直しです。
Here's the worst part, right? Sakuya has essentially lived twice her lifetime in 1 year. Sakuya a Brokon? What the fuck do you expect? Of course she loves her brother. Her situation is the opposite of mine. While Yune and I have been working together toward the same peaceful goal, there seems to be a deadly divergence separating the siblings. Here's the thing. Shu has only lived through 11 months in this time loop, and then Sakuya has lived through 18 years. Holy shit. Brokon means romantic love. The more fanatical Guido, the root of the problem. What? More fanatical Guido, the root of the problem, becomes, the more ashamed she grows.
赤リンゴを食べたのが兄である以上、私にリセットを止める方法はありません。兄が強く望めば、すぐに2017年へ戻ります。
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, right? What the fuck has Guido been doing in that place, I think, for like the past 18 years? She just gave up on that plan. I mean, wouldn't you?
どうしたらいいのでしょう。私は頑張ってそれを考えました。兄の計画を果たして、でも 先輩たちも納得できるような未来。この街は壊れるけれど、私の好きな街のみんなは脱出することができる。私が求めたのはそんな世界でした。
Ah. It's at that moment I realized something. Her ideal solution is exactly how one of our timelines ended.
皆さんだけを逃がす。というのは、シュウ先輩のリセットによって失敗しました。でも、今度こそはって。
I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, Sakuya's route can't end with them escaping, because then Shu would have lost his ability to turn back time.
私や皆さんだけじゃない。街の誰もがオーロラを越えて抜け出せる。そんな未来があったんです。いいわけありません。ですが、仕方のないことですから。昨夜は、先輩と一緒に生きていられるなら、それ以上は望みません。
Listen, the only reason she didn't have a romance route in her time loop was because she also knows how to time loop.
隣に先輩がいてくれるなら、どんな壁だって乗り越えられるって信じてますから。叶った。叶えたはずなんです。一度は。
Her usually emotionless voice trembles slightly.
できることをしました。あれで終わると思っていました。でも、終わらなかった。シュウ先輩は、どうして私が今日まで隠れてたのかって聞きましたよね。
Also, Yune. Yeah, but Yune makes sense because because her goal is stopping the apocalypse, and she isn't gonna fuck Shu unless he stops the apocalypse. Yeah.
私は知りたかったんです。先輩がどうしたいのか。今ここで全部お話ししているのもそうです。先輩が本当に望んでいるのは何か、私にはわからないから。私たちの掴んだ未来で納得できなかったから。先輩はそこにいるんですよね。
Both are stubborn to their goal. I mean, yeah. Shu is stubborn in the fact that saving the people isn't enough, because Yune also wants to save the town. Alright, that's why he didn't fuck Sakuya in her route. And go with her to the edge of the Aurora, to the outside of the Aurora. Because then it would have stopped Shu from being able to go back in time. She sounds fed up. Her harsh tone criticizing my actions is a far cry from the light-hearted jokes she usually makes.
私なんかと一緒に街を出るんじゃ全然満足できないから、先輩はやり直してるんですよね。
Sakuya.
私じゃ嫌だから、私と一緒にいても幸せじゃないから、あんなのじゃ終われないんですよね。
What about Kyrie's romance route? Kyrie doesn't know that Shu can go back in time. Well, I guess she does, but she can't go back in time. Is she angry or sad? The expression on her face seems to contain a mixture of both. Her voice is so quiet that it's almost drowned out by the wind, and yet she struggles desperately to be heard.
私がそばにいたって何の得にもならないですもんね。
That's not true. I just...
嘘ですそれならどうしてあの時に終わってくれなかったんですか
I could have left the town with Sakuya. That day I rediscovered the hole in the Aurora, there where I'd initially come through, and we'd built those arcs. Right. She must be talking about the Aurora's Achilles heel. It was Sakuya herself who started that rumor, and who brought it to my attention. Her idea succeeded in a way. It allowed us to survive without any casualties, at the expense of the town itself. However, if I go through with this, can I actually say I've saved the town? There was really nothing else I could have done. That wasn't the way I wanted it to end. That was all that remained in my reality, which is why we're still standing here on this holy night.
嘘つき先輩はずるいですいつも
Sakuya. Seeing her trembling all over, I just want to hug her. And yet, I can feel her hatred for me seeping from her skin, the emotion almost palpable.
先輩は覚えてなんかいませんもんね
I don't know, considering that you drugged him for 304 days, I can't really say. Remember? That's when I realize the white snow piled up around her feet is quickly melting into slush.
私がどれだけ先輩と一緒にいたかなんて先輩がどれだけ私と一緒にいたかなんて覚えてるはずないですもんね
Tears poured down her cheeks, as if she could no longer hold back her overflowing emotions. You mean the time before I woke up in Yune's room?
そうですでも当たり前ですよ私がそのことも忘れてもらったんですから
Sakuya intentionally made me forget about the 304 days we spent together. I mean, 304 days times 11, by the way. And she's crying because of how cruel that is. It seems like a contradiction, and yet the sincerity in her demeanor proves how much she truly means it. Look, Shu, this is just classic woman moment. She struggles with all her might to speak, holding her tears at bay. Her fervent plea lacks reason, instead resonating deeply directly with my heart. And then,
咲夜はきっと優しい子なんだね
what the hell? The moment I hear those words,
知らない事情があるなら聞かせてほしいよ
this is...
全部先輩が私にくれた言葉です私は全部覚えています外のことは忘れてもらいましたけどことが済めば元に戻すつもりでした
I listen. I don't think I don't think he wants to remember the 304 days. Apparently, she'd intended to dose me with the anti-muse she kept with her after Christmas was over. Unfortunately.
シュウ先輩がこの町に入って再び目覚めるまで、私はそれを決して開けられないパンドラの箱に秘めました。
Everything she's telling me, I've long since forgotten, and only she remembers. Who is your favorite now? Still Sakuya. So just the effect of her memory after being dosed with Muse for 304 days.
許されないことだというのは分かっています。でもそれだけはずっと思い出してほしくなかった。忘れたままでいてほしかったんです。先輩がこのことを思い出したら嫌われちゃうから。
Sakuya forcefully drugged you with Muse? Hey, if I don't remember it, like, it didn't happen. Because I'll hate her. So racked with grief, she was practically hyperventilating. She almost couldn't choke the word out.
でも嫌です。嫌なんです。このまま何も知らないままの先輩と別れるのは、もうどんなに嫌われてもいいから全部溜め込むのは辛いんです。
Sakuya. I call her name, and in response, she looks me straight in the eyes.
シュウさん。
And then she says the magic words that will release my locked away memories from her Pandora's box. Hang on. I was
最後に約束守れなくてごめんなさい。
oops. The moment I hear those words, it's like I can hear the sound of something shattering somewhere in my brain. That forgotten period of time I never knew existed. And the memories of my youth that Sakuya had locked away. That final barrier leading to my most important memories that I needed in order to turn from Shu back to Shu Watarase. Wait. What?
「ください。起きてください、シュウさん。
Grayscale. Who are you?
私はサクヤと言います。シュウさんの一つ下の可愛い後輩です。
Classmate? Sorry, none of this makes sense.
はあ、無理もないですね。起きたばかりですから。
Just woke up. Right. She's the angelic looking girl from the lake. Ow. Everything still hurts. Okay, I kind of remember that. I collapsed at Oneto and then...
無理やりオンネトを渡ろうとするからですよ。一応手当てはしておきましたけど。
Oh, you really did that for me?
サクヤ。
Huh?
君じゃなくて、サクヤです。
Sakuya's been that way ever since the first time we met. Since I hadn't received a dose of Muse yet, I still remembered my purpose in coming here. Sakuya, could you take me outside? I'm assuming this is your room, right? I had no idea where he was other than inside. But since my goal was St. Aria Academy, that's where I knew I needed to go. That's where I knew I needed to get to. Unfortunately.
ダメです。
Why? She said I was prohibited from leaving. Of course, I argued with her.
シュウさんは大怪我をしています。こんな状態で外に出てはまた怪我をします。
The first person he met was Sakuya. I mean, yeah. Gravely wounded. I don't feel that bad. Look, I can clearly move around without trouble. Ow, ow, ow.
ほら、大怪我です。
Oh, because you hit me.
でも、怪我は怪我です。外は危険がいっぱい。
Yeah, shoes hurt so bad he lost his receptors in his eyes, so now he can only see in, so now he's permanently colorblind. It was clear she was reluctant to let me leave her room. After a brief back and forth, I was the first to fall and decided to give it a break. But I came here to teach at the academy as a music professor.
そんな若い先生なんていません。
That's what I'm saying. That may be true, but it was the only way I could get myself into the St. Aria Academy. Even after hearing my explanation, she continued to refer to herself as my classmate. A day passed and then another, and she still refused to let me leave. There was no windows at all, which led me to believe we were in a basement room. If it was Kyrie physically and verbally abusing me. See? That's what fucking double standards. Although I had no complaints about my food or water situation, I still couldn't lose sight of why I came here in the first place. Hey, I think I'm finally all better.
しょうがないですね。でも、ちょうど週3用の服ができたところなんですよ。
What do you mean, finished?
はい、作っておきました。
She gave me 2 outfits I could wear inside her room. The most surprising thing of all was how perfectly they fit me. You made these for me?
はい。でも、外は極寒ですからね。こんな薄着で出たが最後、シュウさんはカチンコチンになってしまいます。
I'm pretty sure I was wrapped in a blanket.
おー。
She didn't take to hide her, didn't try to hide her hurt feelings. It was obvious that she didn't want me to leave. But
それじゃあ、私は学校に行ってきますから、いい子にしててくださいね。
what am I, a pet? I still haven't been granted. I should have been grateful considering she'd given me a roof over my head, clothing and food, despite my arriving here basically destitute. But this seemed excessive. Not to mention we were a man and a woman living together under one roof. Sakuya think he's a student, but he was a teacher. I mean, this is like a different time loop, right? This is a time loop. One of them. A week passed in that way. That's when I first noticed something weird. Huh?
どうしました、シュウさん。
It's nothing, I think. What was it again? I can't remember.
はあ、
I had a feeling like I'd forgotten something, but I couldn't remember what it was. Like when you reach for a dictionary and then forget what you wanted to look up, wanted to look up. Do you have any idea what it might be?
知らないですよ。シュウさんが何を考えていたかなんて。
I guess you're right. That was when I forgot that I had to go to the academy. I still remembered most of my life in the outside world, but my memories regarding my position as a professor at St. Aria were gone. This is the second time loop? Probably. I feel as if there was something important I needed to do.
そういえば、シュウさんはセロリが嫌いだから出さないでほしいと言ってました。
I don't think that was it. Sakuya didn't act as if I was behaving any different than usual, so I shrugged it off and continued living my life. Our relationship was built on sharing a room together and engaging in small talk. It must have been at the 2-week mark when I found myself losing my memories again. What the heck? I feel like I forgot something else. Despite the occasional boredom, living together with Sakuya was pretty fun. However, I felt anxiety building up inside of me at the same time. I was afraid my indulgence in this carefree life would lead me to lose track of the passage of time, much like the infamous Taro Urashima. God damn it. I need to look up this guy. Taro Urashima is the protagonist of a Japanese fairy tale, Otogi Banashi. Right. Every 2 weeks he was drugged. I think every week he was drugged, right?
気のせいですよ。それよりシュウさん、今日はボードゲームをしませんか？
Listen, all I'm saying is that if this is what you call if this is Stockholm Syndrome, then, I might have it. A board game? Sure, I guess. She was always there to keep me company, and we often played games together. A part of me constantly worried over whether I was doing the right thing, but... You didn't hear that. Seeing Sakuya's happy face always made me forget all about it. My situation at the time. It made me feel almost dependent on her. But it seemed to be what she wanted, so I resigned myself to my fate and went along with it. Valentine's Day. Eventually, I fell into a routine where I'd sleep while Sakuya was off at school, considering we both like her the most. Yeah. Since we were almost always together, we talked a lot about many things. We discussed our hobbies, sports, clothes, and art. We shared stories from our past, or at least from what I could remember of mine, about incidents that shaped us. She would always tell me stories about her school, and I remember smiling whenever she'd tell me about her teacher, the old witch who scared her. Considering the lack of other people, I'm surprised we never ran out of things to talk about. Throughout it all, there was one thing Sakuya would always ask me.
シュウさんの理想ってどんな人ですか？
Maybe you should have been more specific with that question. Didn't I tell you already?
そうですけど、忘れちゃったのでもう一度です。
If I had to describe the most perfect person, I knew from experience that Sakuya wouldn't believe me if I told her it was some suave guy. Not really having a good answer in mind, I found myself stumped.
シュウさんは好きな人とかいらっしゃらなかったんですか？
drinker? I mean, I don't think so.
思うって何ですか？
My memories of my past feel really hazy lately.
そうですか。
She changed the angle of her question slightly. She wouldn't drop it until I gave her a proper answer. Well, I prefer girly girls over tomboyish ones, I guess. Man, this fucking guy. We discreetly did a fist pump. She discreetly did a fist pump. I don't think I didn't notice. Sakuya? Sakuya seemed depressed, so I spoke up in an attempt to comfort her. You're a great cook and a sweet girl.
いや、じゃあこれは仮に、もし仮にですけど、
She can't even win him over with his when she only person he with. Yeah. She stammered over the word hypothetically 5 more times before continuing.
昨夜のことはどう思ってますか？
This is literally like you know those stories of like the guys being like with the girl being like, if I was the only if the world ended and we were the only 2 people, would you date me? This is the same situation. It was both a simple and complicated question. Overthinking it might end up causing more harm than good, so I answered honestly. Sure, I like you, Sakuya, but it's just that easy. She buries her flame-red cheeks in her hands. I have a feeling she got the wrong idea.
大丈夫です。
Well, like, why the fuck is this in gray and white? This is gray and white. Why is it in black and white? It's fucking boring. What?
シュウさんは男女の意味でそう言っているのではない。昨夜はちゃんとわかっています。
Okay, right. It seemed as if the misunderstanding had been cleared up in that moment. Knowing what I do now, it's very possible that conversation we shared was one she practiced multiple times before. She definitely did not hear the but. But of course, that they had that conversation on Valentine's Day. As my memories from the outside world began to fade, so did the wounds on my body. Sakuya, look, all my pain is gone. I thanked her for taking care of me, saying it wasn't necessary any longer. I figured the next logical step was leaving. Although I had long since forgotten about teaching at the academy here, it was only natural I'd want to get out. However,
ダメです。前にも言った通り、外は危険がいっぱいなんです。
huh? Yeah, but you go to school every day, Saveta, right?
私は強いからいいんです。
Is that so? I spot her a suspicious look, and she puffed out her cheeks in annoyance.
無敵なんです。どんな暴漢が来ても一撃でのします。
So then you can protect me?
そうは言いますが。出てどうするんですか？泊まるところなんてないですよ。
Well, yeah, it makes sense. I had already forgotten the word town by this point. I had no idea what existed outside of this room, and a part of me wanted to dispel that anxiety.
この部屋を一歩でも出れば、もうソドムと言われる荒野なんですよ。シュウさんなんて魔物にあってすぐ食べられちゃいます。
Really? I didn't believe her for 1 second, but she made clear that she was very worried about my safety. Plus, she did go out of her way to take care of me until my injuries healed, so I figured it'd be best to simply do what she said for the time being.
それに、ずっとじゃありません。もう少しでここから出ても平気になるので。
Okay. I still had a lot of questions, but if she said to stay put for now, then that's what I would do. Little did I know I still had several months to go. March 2nd. I didn't say any of the dates before. Yeah, now he's gotten Stockholm Syndrome. My forgetfulness, it just kept getting worse and worse as time passed. I'm sure Sakuya was well aware of what was going on, but she feigned ignorance. I continued eating the food she served me every day. And considering we slept and ate together, she had plenty of opportunities to dose me with Muse.
今日はシュウさんの好きなロールキャベツですよ。
Oh, yum, you remembered.
シュウさんのリアクションはすべて頭に入っていますからね。
Yeah, I bet you have. She cooks me food every single day, and has never heard a single complaint from me. I remember an odd sense of nostalgia when I eat cabbage rolls in the cafeteria once. Likely because they were my favorite dish of hers. Though it's a bit weird to think of Sakuya's food as home cooking. Instead of toothpicks, you use noodles to tie a cabbage roll together.
それなら食べきれますからね。生活の知恵です。
You can eat the toothpick. You'll make a great wife someday, Sakuya. You shouldn't have said that to her. Everything tastes great. Like always.
そういう意味ですね。
What was that? Our pseudo-married life continued day after day. Staying there with Sakuya felt so natural that I'd lost any desire to leave. That said, my memories are from one of her more successful timelines. She's gone through the same loop so many times that she must have, that some must have ended in failure. I might have forced my way out and escaped, but that year Sakuya had managed to keep me under control. And once you find the pattern to success, all you need to do is repeat it. March 17th. When you're locked in a room, the days blend into each other, and you lose your sense of time. Sakuya would sometimes tell me what happened at school as if out of concern.
卒業式の前にクラスで発表会が開かれるので、私も何か作品を作らなければならないのです。
Oh, good luck.
ですが、服はダメと言われてしまいました。どうしましょう。
So it's a creative assignment, but you make all your clothes by hand, don't you?
卒業して上に進めば認められるみたいなのですが、チベッタだと絵か彫刻に限定されてしまうのです。
That sucks. But you're really good at painting too. I'm sure you'll do well.
本当ですか？それならシュウさんを描いちゃおうかな。
That's a little too embarrassing. Plus, no one knows who I am.
誰だかわからない方がミステリアスです。シュウさんはモナリザになるのです。というわけで、この衣装を着てポージングしてください。
Ain't no way. What the hell? Isn't it a little risque?
古代ギリシャの服をイメージして作りました。さあ、脱いで脱いで。
Yeah, but you're trying to recreate the Mona Lisa, so why didn't you use Renaissance-style clothing instead? Don't be so pushy.
ああ、シュウさん、背中にほくろがありますね。
Do I? Never noticed.
そうそう。そうやってポーズして。
And that's how I was roped into being Sakuya's model. Kinky. Looking back, she went out of her way to explain everything without mentioning the Academy's name. June? It's been 3 months. It's time skipped 3 months. And it's still grayscale. Hey, Sakuya.
なんでしょうか、シュウさん。
I made this for you.
これは
Oh. It's the same fucking thing. I made this out of old juice bottle corks. It's not as good as your art, of course.
いえ、嬉しいです。もらっていいんですか？
Okay, you explained the cork, but that's not the only thing there. What about the other things? As long as you don't hate it, it's supposed to be Corpacur.
はい。かわいいです。シュウさんが私に何かを作ってくれるなんて、昨夜は感激です。
Come on, that's a bit much.
はい。ちょっと待ってくださいね。
She quickly took out a new bottle of grape juice before immediately opening it.
それで、こうして、こうで、じゃーん！できました。私のコロポックルちゃんです。
Cute, very girly. You know when she reset time, Sakuya lost Shu's gift? Yeah, and then she got it back after every other time loop.
ですです。これで寂しくありませんね。
Thinking back, that must have been the first time I made her a Corpacur. She looked so happy when I gave it to her, and I deeply regret forgetting that heartfelt smile. What did you expect? Oh, it's August now. August 7th. Everything must come to an end someday, and I was steadily nearing my own limits. Sakuya,
どうしましたか、シュウさん。
how do I put this? I feel like I'm losing more of my mind every day. My forgotten memories, my lost knowledge. At the time, I chalked it up to some cognitive illness, despite the fact that I'd recovered physically. I could barely even remember my own family's names. If this continues, soon I won't be able to remember anything at all. I'm scared.
シュウさん。
It was the first time I admitted my fear to her. Even now, it pains me to try and remember how Sakuya must have felt hearing me say that. What do you mean how she felt? What do you mean? What about you?
今日も美味しいご飯を作りますから、一緒に休みましょう。シュウさん。きっとまた思い出せる日が来ますから。
Sakuya. Thinking back, I remember the look of anguish on her face as she spoke.
ごめんなさい。いつか必ず元に戻しますから。それまで。
Somehow he snapped out of Stockholm Syndrome and fell through the others. Because he didn't even remember he had Stockholm Syndrome. The void left by my lost memories was filled with by Sakuya, whose presence in my life grew larger. My real issue at the time was that I had no guarantee I could continue living without her. October 26th. One month before the game start. What's for dinner tonight, Sakuya?
今日は味噌ラーメンに挑戦してみました。お口に合うかどうかわかりませんが。
I'm sure I will, since everything you make is delicious. Eventually, I learned to embrace my new life without complaint. I just spent every day with her in the same room. And for the most part, nothing changed except for what we talked about and who won at chess. In other words, I was in the perfect mindset to forget everything about the outside world. Just as the people here don't question what lies outside the Aurora, my very existence was defined by a space so much smaller than the town itself. Sakuya?
いえ、何でもありません。
He was the stay-at-home husband. Not even. He didn't do any of the chores. Sakuya was the one cooking for him and probably other things. This was the result of being drugged with Muse for so long. A person named Shu, who held no knowledge of the outside world, was born in that room. And before long, it was finally time.
外はすっかり寒くなってきましたよ。
The time finally came for me to leave the nest. It was just before the start of Advent. There it is. November 27th. Neat husband. Yeah. Finally!
シュウさん、こちらへ。
Color! I can't believe this. What's wrong, Sakuya? I could tell something was up from the weird way she was acting. Knowing Sakuya as well as I did at that point, her change in behavior was obvious, but I still trusted her without a doubt. What's that?
これはお薬です。シュウさんの物忘れを治すための。
Really? I took the piece of paper without question. In retrospect, that was probably the last dose of Muse she gave me. Sakuya, why are you crying?
いえ、そんなことはないです。
As she held the Muse out to me, she seemed to be wrestling with some unbearable pressure. At the time, having adapted to a world that was far too small, I didn't realize anything was wrong. Do I eat it or lick it?
舌に乗せてください。こうして。
Her gaze was affectionate yet distant, as if she were lost in thought, and yet I still didn't hesitate. With that, I took my final dose of Muse. Wait, what? Everything was blurry. Noticing the change coming over me, she began speaking as if in resignation of the inevitable.
今の薬は
今までのものとは違う旧式のものです。これまでに使っていたミューズと違い、解毒剤がありません。
And that was the biggest lie she ever told Shu. Sakuya. Knowing her as well as I did, I could sense another dramatic shift in her demeanor. Unfortunately, it wasn't long after taking the medicine before I felt myself losing consciousness.
これでシュウさんは、私のことも忘れて、正しい生活に戻れます。
Forget. Fuck. The word forcibly pulled me back from the brink. Don't leave me. Forget. Wait, what do you mean?
言葉通りの意味です。シュウさんがここに来て304日間、私と過ごしてきた日々のこと。
To this new person named Shu. Those 304 days were his entire life. What are you talking about, Saku?
楽にしていてください。すぐに寝られます。
Sakuya.
今までずっと束縛してごめんなさい。私にはこうする方法しか見つかりませんでした。シュウ先生は優秀でしたから、兄はいつも止めてくれていました。でも、それじゃダメなんです。
I struggle against the sensation of falling. I desperately cling to my rapidly fading consciousness, listening to Sakuya's words.
シュウさんなら生徒としてもみんなを救ってくれると信じています。私の立場で言えたことではありませんが。
Sakuya, you...
シュウさん、あなたは湖で倒れているとユネという銀髪の女性が歌っているのを目撃します。
I need to read that out. She already said it. Sakuya planted a suggestion into my brain, and when I wake up, there was no deviating from the path after that.
気絶して目覚めると、あなたはその女性の部屋にいます。また、あなたは外から来た存在なので、この町のことを知りません。
Pre-imprinted perceptions. As long as I forgot everything, it won't work as a definitive script, but her words would remain planted deep in my memories.
そこではもしかすると、サクヤという名前の女性に出会うかもしれませんが、初対面です。その後、あなたは聖アレイヤ学院に2年生として転入します。ユネという女性と同じリンゴ組です。
So she brainwashed him to think the
外の記
person...
憶をなくしたあなたは、異なる文化に戸惑いながらも、転入生として学校での楽しい生活を過ごします。
To think the person who helped him was Yune? Yes. That's exactly what she did. That's why she dressed up as Yune.
楽しい。そう。明るくて楽しい生活を永遠に続いてほしいと思うくらいの。
I had to fight it. Any further resistance I could muster evaporated under the effect of the muse that I had taken myself. And yet... I hate this. I could forget everything in my... I could forget everything in my life. there's a line that Shu as a person refuses to cross. But I refuse to forget about you, Sakuya. Just then, the light in Sakuya's eyes flickered. Sakuya,
ダメです。ダメなんです。忘れてもらわないと。
What do you mean, forget? Why are you crying, despite trying to convince me otherwise? Why do you look stricken with grief more miserable than I've ever seen you? Sakuya. The name of the woman I must never forget.
今こうしていることも、目覚めたらシュウさんは覚えていられません。だから。
Please. She said that with tantamount to a final farewell. She said what was tantamount to a final farewell.
私が本当の意味で素直になれるのは今しかないので聞いてほしいです。
Her affectionate gaze. A pattern that went far beyond her years. A patience that went far beyond her years. A smile as pure as the Virgin Mary.
シュウさん、
She called my name.
好きです。大好きです。あなたと過ごした日々は私にとってかけがえのない宝物でした。
We finally got the words.
なんだか陳腐な表現しかできませんね。言葉にするのって難しいです。
A forced smile. Glistening tears fell from her eyes, dripping into my cheeks like tiny jewels as I lay there.
シュウさんが好きだったものも嫌いだったものもそうでないものも昨夜は全部覚えています。決して忘れません。シュウさんはとっても素敵な人です。数えきれないくらいの魅力をこの1年で発見しました。だからシュウさんは私のことなんて忘れてください。私なんかが独り占めしていい人じゃありませんから。
Fucking goddamn it. I want to forget about you. And I don't care if you keep me all for yourself. That's what I'm saying. I instinctively understood something then. Once I slipped into unconsciousness, I would forget everything from that moment.
ありがとうございます。でも私はシュウさんに許されないことをしました。だからシュウさんも私に命じてください。なんだって聞きます。もう会いたくないならそう言ってほしいです。死ねと言うならシュウさんを生かしてから死にます。
I'd never want that. With the loss of my strength, I clung desperately to consciousness as I cried out. Don't go. All I want is for you to not leave me. Yeah.
ありがとうございます。そう言ってもらえるだけで昨夜は本当に嬉しいです。
If that was true, then why was she crying? I hated myself for not being able to say something that simple.
約束します。私昨夜はずっとシュウさんのそばにいます。離れません。私もうこれ言うのもなん 度目かわからないのに、まだうまく言えなくて。
She shut her lips tight, as if trying to keep her sobs at bay. Her expression of forced resolution looked agonizing, even through my half-conscious vision.
さようなら。ミューズの女神は幻覚を見せる薬ですから。この304日間もきっと幻のようなものなんです。皆さんを救うのに必要だった幻。
Even her face was growing hazy and dreamlike. It was almost time to say goodbye. Oh, and understand. Why? Why can't I move my body? Why can't I do anything when Sakuya looks so sad?
また会えます。もうこんな形じゃなく。
Ah. I was on the brink of unconsciousness. She gently covered my eyes with her hand.
その時はきっと先輩って呼んでみせますから。
The last thing I remember is the faint touch of her trembling lips against mine.